So, what if you could send a message to yourself 10 years into the future? I'm not talking about burying something in the yard. I mean, a digital time capsule scheduled to pop up on the internet for the whole world to see. Well, back in 2015, one young creator did exactly that. And what it shows us about ambition, time, and just massive change is pretty fascinating. These were the very first words he recorded. And you gotta remember, he wasn't saying this for his tiny audience back then. Nope. This was for a version of himself and, well, us, a full decade down the line. It's such a simple, kind of mundane way to start what turned out to be this extraordinary record of pure ambition. And this 10-year gap right here, this is the heart of the whole story. On one side, you've got the past, just a kid in his room with a huge dream. And on the other, a future that literally no one, and I mean least of all him, could have ever predicted. The whole idea was actually pretty simple. On October 4th, 2015, a YouTuber you might have heard of named Jimmy Donaldson recorded a video talking to his 2025 self. He then set it to private and scheduled it to automatically go public 10 years later, to the day. He was basically just launching a question out into the void, with no idea what the answer would be. And this is what makes this so real. You know, he wasn't some media mogul. He was a teenager making videos when he probably should have been studying, worrying about a history test he had the next day. He even wonders in the video if his future self will even remember that test. But even with all that normal high school anxiety, there was this one number that just completely dominated his thoughts. One single goal that, to him, was the absolute peak of success. Now, to really understand this dream, you have to see where he was starting from. This was his world in 2015, 8,000 subscribers, which, hey, is a respectable number for a small creator, but it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the goal he was about to set for himself. And there it is, 1 million. That was the magic number, the goal he gave himself 10 whole years to achieve. He was practically pleading with his future self, just hoping against hope that he'd somehow, some way, cross this unbelievable milestone. And he doesn't just hope for it, he kind of demands it. You can just hear the intensity in his voice. This wasn't some casual wish. He basically tied his entire sense of accomplishment for the next decade to hitting this one single number. But, you know, with that kind of massive ambition comes an equally massive amount of pressure. So this wasn't just about a dream. It was also about this really deep underlying fear of what would happen if he didn't make it. I mean, just think about that for a second. He's a kid in high school, and he's literally defining the success or failure of his entire life based on a subscriber count 10 years from now. That is an incredible amount of pressure to put on yourself, and it just shows how much this truly meant to him. And his anxieties went even deeper than just his career. He actually grapples with his own mortality, more than once. So this isn't just a kid worried about subscriber numbers. This is the person thinking about the sheer unpredictability of life over a decade. It's a very real, very human fear. So his thoughts were just this jumble of fragile hopes and some pretty big fears. He hoped YouTube could be a real job and that he'd still enjoy doing it, but he was just as worried that he might have quit, that the future audience watching would just think he was a big loser. So the kid from 2015 asked all his questions and laid out all his fears. Now, let's look at the answer the future sent back. And frankly, it's an answer that is beyond belief. He didn't get 1 million subscribers. He got nearly 300 times that amount. This isn't just hitting a goal. This is shattering a goal into 1 million tiny pieces. It's a number so huge that the Jimmy of 2015 probably couldn't have even comprehended it. And this just lays out the scale of that transformation perfectly. His hope was to get 1 million subs. The reality is he's the most subscribed individual in history. He hoped YouTube would be a job. He now runs a media empire and a massive philanthropic organization. The kid worried about a history test now employs hundreds of people. Which brings us to a really fascinating question. What do you do when the goal you defined as the marker of your life's success becomes, well, just a footnote in your story? What happens when you completely outgrow your own dreams? You know, in the end, maybe the most accurate prediction he made was this one. He knew he would change. He just had no idea about the sheer scale of it. This journey wasn't just about subscriber counts. It was about a fundamental transformation of a person. And yeah, he really is so different. And that's really the ultimate takeaway, isn't it? This time capsule isn't just a story about YouTube success. It's a profound look at the very nature of ambition itself, how our goals shape us, and how, sometimes, the greatest success is outgrowing them entirely. It leaves us all with this one big question. What does success actually look like and feel like when it surpasses your own ability to even dream it?